Ooh. And what's good is Out on a Limb, hosted by me, Adam Nikolashko. Today got a really cool guest. His name's Herman, but some might know him as Coffeelicker. He's has a really cool following on Instagram and does a little like really cool 3D effects. So yeah, thank you, Herman, for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Adam. Excited to be here.
Yeah, so like I start all my podcasts, what is your song of the day? Like, what song have you been listening to the most recently?
Oh man, I don't have like a specific song that I've been listening to a lot, but I'm generally like an EDM guy. So if there's an artist that I listen to a lot, it's Don Diablo. But lately, like in the morning, I kind of listen to a bit of jazz because it feels like I'm kind of working at a coffee shop just to get my day started. But yeah,
That's awesome.
especially during COVID, you can't actually go into coffee shops, or at least
I
like
know.
they're starting to open up. But
What's your favorite type of coffee? Do you like a little iced coffee or a warm coffee? What do you
just an
into?
Americano, very basic.
Americano? Okay,
Yeah,
very basic. So my song, I think it's called Ashes by Slither. I don't know, it's some kind of like bop song. It's pretty nice stuff. I just heard it
nice.
though.
I'll have to check it out after.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. It's pretty cool. But so though how I even met you or introduced myself to you is I actually saw you on another channel. It was his name's Josh. I forget his YouTube channel name.
Yeah, Josh Olufemii.
Yeah,
Olufemii
Josh
tutorials, yeah.
Olufemii. Exactly. So I was actually just looking up stuff on how to make my podcast better, and then he had you on, and I was like, "Yo, this guy is sweet. Like, like you do a lot of sweet effects."
Thank you, man.
And I'll put the clips on throughout this video. But yeah, so I reached out to you on Instagram, and you thankfully got back. I'm like so grateful for this opportunity. So what I want to ask you is how you even got that collab started with Josh right in the beginning.
Yeah, so there's this basically community called Black with No Cream, and it's like a bunch of creators. They have a Facebook group, and I started posting some of my side projects, the stuff that I was posting on Instagram, onto that page. And then I guess Josh actually saw a couple of my stuff, and he kept me in mind. And eventually, he reached out to me. He asked me if I was interested in doing some tutorials and collabing with him. And I thought, that's dope. Like, I know who Josh is. I already subscribed to him. Like, I already looked up like a few of his tutorials. They've definitely helped me out. He's a great guy. And I don't know, like the rest is what is the result now where I did this kind of like a Coffeelicker week. I did this like Coffeelicker week where I did a tutorial every day for 5 days.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got quite a bit of attention from that. And that's how that kind of started.
That is awesome. Did you notice after he posted that, did your following grow a little bit more?
Oh, definitely. Not just a little more. Like I was at maybe like 1,300, and then in about a couple weeks, I grew up to 10K. So
No way.
yeah, it was pretty fast, pretty surreal.
That is such a cool. When did you start posting your stuff then originally?
Originally when I started being a little more active on Instagram was around February this year. So just around
Okay.
half a year ago. Yeah.
Okay. So and then so before kind of digging into this more, how is your quarantine doing? What have you been doing to keep yourself busy?
Yeah, I've been keeping myself busy with basically the same stuff that I've been doing for the past half year, just posting on Instagram, doing some creative stuff, doing collabs. And yeah, I mean, work-wise, professionally, like things are a little bit slower, which is why I have a little more time to do these passion projects. And it's a great way to feel my creativity and also develop like a wider portfolio and showcase what I can do, right?
Yeah, that is awesome. So what is your official job then?
I'm mainly a videographer. So
Okay.
I direct and edit web commercials and promo
No way.
videos. But yeah, I lean heavily more on the video editing side. So I'll do stuff like editing stuff for social media or editing promos for like this Netflix show, for example.
Mhm.
Yeah, stuff like that.
And how did you get involved with all that stuff?
So long story, I'll try and keep it short. So my hobby's always been like learning how to do magic tricks and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's where I met my like boss, basically, like main client that I've been working with. And I was working with him and his magic company for a long time. And
Huh.
that's how I first kind of like got my foot in the door. And I went to film school as well. And then right after I graduated, this job was lined up, and I got this opportunity to basically be their creative director. And that's what I've been doing
Wow.
for like 7 years now. It's been a while.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big Magic fan as well. Do you know Chris Angel by any chance?
I don't know him personally,
No, I meant you know him though, right?
but I know who he is, of course.
Okay.
Everyone knows
Okay.
who he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, you have to know who he is. Yeah, I caught his magic trick set back in the day. I used to try to perform all that great stuff.
Nice. Yeah, Street
Yeah,
Magic was a trend like
yeah,
for 2000s.
it
Yeah.
it was a big trend, and then David Blaine came along doing all that stuff with his body, and I don't know. I love magic. I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
So with this editing, you know how you post on Instagram. I remember on Josh's channel, you talked about how a guy named, I forget his official name, someone with Tom, I believe, that kind of inspired you to do that 3D stuff. Am I correct with that?
Um yeah,
Tom the
I think the
Gray
one
or
I think the one that you're talking about was the like the interactive
yeah,
Instagram
yeah, yeah, yeah,
post kind
yeah,
of thing. Yeah. I don't
yeah,
remember off the top of my head, but I think it was I am Tim Gray who was the
yeah.
one
That's
who
it.
yeah. So he inspired for one of the effects that I used out of the whole kind of like series of the
Yeah.
post. Yeah. And basically it's the part where like an object kind of flies through the caption of
Hmm.
Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool stuff, and I want to dig into that. So like, what did you how did you even learn how to do that stuff? Is it just like a software that you had to download, or was it something more like with After Effects?
Right. All of it is in After Effects, basically.
Hmm.
So all the elements that like people might think is 3D are actually live shot like footage. So I did a
Hmm.
lot of that stuff in front of a green screen, like the controller that comes out of the caption, and also like the spaceships at the kind of like the last post where it's like origami spaceships and stuff like that. It's like me going to the dollar store, buying some gift bags, and then like learning how to fold spaceships with paper, and then just yeah, basically attaching stuff like fishing wire to it and then removing them in After Effects. But yeah, it's all in After Effects. No actual like 3D required
Oh, okay.
because yeah, that's a whole different world that I want to eventually get into. But I
Yeah,
thought
it
I'd
is.
find creative ways to lack or to make up for what I lack for right now.
I mean, I just think it's so impressive. And how like you do that stuff. So, so where did you officially grow up at then? In Can I'm
Right.
sorry.
I grew up in Vancouver, Canada.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then
So that
when you went to school, then did you like kind of have to? Where did you travel along to them?
in school, I mean, I stayed in Vancouver for basically all of my life, and then I went to Vancouver Film School after graduating high school.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite part of Canada? Any top things in Canada?
Favorite thing about Canada, I think after like having the opportunity to travel a lot in the past 2 years, what I appreciate about Canada is how peaceful it is, I guess. Like everything's way slower here compared to like Asia, for example. Things in Asia, things are happening like all the time. It's always busy. It's always like, I don't know, like everything's just happening fast. I think that's the best way to put it. And over here,
Hmm.
you get a little more breathing room for yourself. There's more nature, at least like around the area that I'm at, compared to like say Taipei, for example, where it's very like city, very like it's very like a concrete jungle compared to what you can find here, where there's a lot of trees. If you like hiking trails, if you like doing stuff like skiing, like this is the place.
And then, are you a big maple syrup guy then?
I wouldn't say I'm like a big maple syrup guy, but I would have the occasional pancake with maple syrup.
Okay, okay. So, you did mention you traveled a lot. And so out of those places that you've traveled to or, got to work at, is there a certain thing that maybe a place has taught you or that inspired you to do something with your video editing by any chance?
Yeah, I mean, so my basically my boss, like he set up a studio in Taiwan. So a lot of the opportunities that he had were coming in from Asia or China. So that ended up me having to go over there to do a couple of the projects. And I think that was a really good opportunity where I got to see how the working environment and the working pace is like over there. So things, at least in China, are a lot different. Things that I probably shouldn't talk about, at least in this podcast. But in Taiwan is also a good reflection in terms of how fast paced things are. So like certain services or the way they handle certain tasks, I guess, happen a lot faster in comparison to North America, I find. So for example, if let's say they have a project that they want to do, it's like a music video or something like that. Here in North America, I think it would take a little more time, maybe a few weeks or something like that. And then in Asia, they would make it happen in like 4 days or something. So like the turnaround is like a lot faster. And I think because there are a lot of people over there, and they have a lot more resources, they can pump those things out like a lot quicker. And I think knowing stuff like that like makes me feel like I can be more prolific, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So, and then one place I noticed specifically that you traveled to, I was on your Instagram. You traveled to Tokyo, and I was gonna say that we should do a collab in Tokyo because I always wanted to go to Tokyo. And like,
yeah, definitely. I got to go back. Definitely. Like I really wanted to go there to explore more. I was only there for a short period of time, but it was really dope being there.
Yeah, it looks so cool there. I always hear really cool stuff about it. So, what was your favorite part about Japan when you were in Tokyo?
I think my favorite part would be a bit of the culture shock when I initially got there, because it's a lot different than, I guess, North America or Canada in a way where, like I kind of mentioned, in terms of Asia in general, things happen a lot faster and there's a lot more people, at least in comparison to where I live. And just seeing that there's so many people that are always, it almost feels like it's always rush hour. Like there are always people on the street, like just getting from point A to B. And it's just, I don't know. It's weird being in that sea of like people where each of them are busy, like with their own stuff going on, and and I'm like a foreigner too, right? So just being in the middle of that felt a little bit surreal, I guess. And just knowing that there's a lot that I could explore in the city. Like I hear like there's always like, how would I say it? Like not weird stuff, but like a lot of interesting things going on that I want to explore, like the nightlife over there, or stuff like that.
Yeah, did you learn any Japanese language? Japan? Did you learn
No,
any of
I
that one?
didn't. I learned like maybe like a couple phrases and that was it. And I don't really remember them. I kind of wanted to get into learning Japanese just as like a good thing to learn, to like have a second language sort of, or have a
Right.
third language in my case. But yeah, I it takes too much commitment. So I put it in the back burner for now.
Yeah, I always wanted to learn like how to like write out things and like learn the language. I think that's just neat to me.
Yeah.
Did you happen to try any sushi while you were in Japan? I feel like that's a thing you have to do.
You know what? I actually don't think I tried sushi there, but I did
Oh my
try like
gosh.
some of their barbecue meat or something like that.
Really?
And actually, what they're really well known for is, I think, the convenience stores in comparison to like North America. Like if you go into like a 7-Eleven or something like that over here, it's just like, it's like maybe like part of a gas station. You
It's
find
basic,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's really basic. And then in Asia, like Taiwan or Japan, like you'll find like literally anything there, and they all taste good. And it's like a lot cheaper too than to actually cook at home, apparently, when you're eating out in Japan.
Oh, really? Yeah, I saw these things on TikTok actually, I believe. It was some like these guys, I guess, or who are living in Japan, they would film stuff and like it's like you can like get a cup of like soup and like put in this vending machine and like they'll do all these little mixtures and they'll give it to you. I
Yeah,
think that stuff is just
yeah,
crazy to me.
they've got technology that's like unbelievable.
Yeah. It's like why is that not over here? Well, in Canada or America.
Right? I mean, there's stuff like that are happening here. It's like it's starting to leak over here. Like the
Okay.
convenience that happens in Asia is starting to come over here. Like delivery services and stuff like that are a little more prominent now, at least in my area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, so since you are, you have traveled a lot, what is your top place that you've experienced that you would say you liked a lot?
Oh, that's hard to say because I feel like every place that I went to,
It's
there was
unique. Yeah.
something valuable about it, right?
Hmm.
But I think because I keep going back to Taiwan, at least in the past year or so, that kind of feels I don't want to say like a second home, but like I feel more familiar with it. So there are things that I know that when I go back to, I would visit again because I know some of the places as opposed to being just dropped in the middle of a country that I don't really know anything about.
Right.
So I would say Taiwan, Taipei is probably my go-to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Taiwan is another big place. I'm kind of jealous. I mean, this like you travel all these places seems so cool.
Yeah,
Um,
all pre-COVID too, like thankfully.
yeah, yeah, I know. And then yeah, because right now, I mean, you can't really travel right now. You know, it's then that's the hard part. I
Yeah,
feel like.
so many restrictions.
Yeah, and well, with your magic where like where you're working at, is that kind of affecting you how you guys are working right now?
Definitely. I think the way the business model for them is shifting over a little bit. And I'm not really a part of that. I'm just like the creative director that does their video stuff and
Hmm.
photos and that kind of stuff. But yeah, if anything, I'm more doing the stuff that are not involved in magic. So like the studio that they set up there, like with my boss, his name is Will Tsai. Shout out to him. Like I wouldn't be anywhere close to where I am now without him.
Okay.
And yeah, if anything, I think it's slowed down some opportunities for him, and a lot of his opportunities or my opportunities are kind of tied with his as well. So yeah, definitely, I think it's affecting work and the health of that kind of stuff, especially since a lot of opportunities are happening with China, and then now with China being, the not the center of attention, but like just there's restrictions of being able to travel there and working there. So
Right.
it's hindered a lot of stuff. The ball's rolling very slow now.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope and pray that like this stuff all clears up soon. I mean, I want to kind of get my life back in order here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think everyone feels the same way.
So, back to editing. I don't know if there's really an easy way to answer this, but what is like your favorite part about editing? I'll give an example for me personally. Like when I'm editing like simple videos like this, podcast episodes, I like after I put everything together and the creative stuff that I like to put in my episodes. Well, I'm starting to put more in. I like to just kind of like look back and be like, wow. I mean, it was a process, but it's really cool.
The rewarding like feeling, right? Of being
Yeah,
able to
yeah,
complete
yeah.
something. Yeah, I know what you mean. That's definitely one of the things that I like about editing too. I think my favorite thing about it though is that I get to be creative with the type of edits that I do. So the stuff
Mhm.
that I do is usually like promo pieces for like social media and stuff like that, or YouTube, or
Mhm.
their commercials, or I want to be getting into like music videos, for example, because that's another creative medium that I get to experiment with creative ideas, right? But
Right.
there are different genres of video editing. I mean, there's like narrative filmmaking too, right? Where they need an editor, and their job is to like make sure that the edit flows invisibly and feels like it also elevates like the story, right? Enhances what the
Mhm.
director has in mind. And I feel like for editors like myself, where I do more like short form content, where it has to be like eye catching, whether it's for a commercial or that kind of stuff, then yeah, that's the aspect that I enjoy more, like being able to implement new techniques, new skills, new ways of making engaging content for people.
Yeah, I mean you're 100% right. I just think doing all that is like it's like wow, like I did that almost. It's like
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
really
that rewarding feeling at the end.
exactly.
Right.
It's such a cool part. Um so recent are you into animation at all? Like you like do you know how to do any of that like creating animations and figures and motions?
Right. I touch a little bit on that. I picked up like some motion graphic and like typography and those kind of techniques because it's still in the world of like After Effects.
Hmm.
I'm by no means like an expert in like VFX or like motion graphics or anything like that, but I do know like some basic stuff to get around and put into commercials and promo pieces.
Yeah, because one of the things I loved how you did your effects with like the 3D stuff and like popping out and whatnot. And
Right.
so when I was thinking about with my podcast I was thinking about like in my intro I have like a tree and like there's like a one of those chewing toy mouths in the middle of it.
Right.
And I always wanted to like my big picture idea for this animation is the mouth like I guess pops out of the tree and it like it's chomping on my like the out on the limb words and
Yeah,
like
it sounds dope.
crushing it up. And I was always trying to like learn how to do that. So I try to put effort into it, and I was researching on the internet, trying to read watch videos, and I couldn't find really a lot on it. And then when I was like finally like trying to learn it all, I was just like, this is just so hard. Like it was like my mind was like hurting at the end of trying to like learn all of it.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming at first, like when you're just getting into learning how to do motion graphics or getting into a new software like After Effects. Like you have to learn all the basic tools, and I don't know, like people all have to start somewhere. I think that knowing what you actually want to create is a really good first step, so
Hmm.
that you can start kind of like looking for the tools that enable you to do that. So I think
Right.
like just looking up motion graphic tutorials and learning some of the basic stuff will be a good stepping stone to kind of get into being able to achieve what you want.
So is that kind of how you first started like with learning After Effects? Like it was kind of overwhelming, and then you just got used to it as it went along.
Yeah, exactly. Like even now, I don't consider myself like necessarily like used to After Effects. I mean, I feel more comfortable with it like progressively, but it
Mhm.
all started from like nothing. Like I didn't go to school for like After Effects or anything like that. I
Right.
went to school for a film program. So
Hmm.
all the stuff that I do in After Effects are all self-taught through literally just YouTube tutorials or like Googling up certain things when I have problems and need some troubleshooting. And
Hmm.
that's basically how I learned all that type of stuff, like animation, anything VFX related.
That is really neat. You're gonna have to send me some links to some examples of your work, so I want because I want to put it up in this episode as
Yeah,
well.
for sure. Definitely do that.
So is there or how long did it take you to like kind of like get used to After Effects and learn it to a point where you can manage it very well now?
It's hard to say because it feels like every year or every project, you just
Hmm.
start feeling slightly more comfortable, or you learn a new tool or something like that, or you're in the software for so long where it feels like it's a little more familiar than before.
Hmm.
But like I started using After Effects maybe when I don't know, like 8 years ago or something like that, to get at least to the point where I am now. And I can't say I'm exactly like happy with like everything that I know right now. Like we're all students in life. There's always more that we can learn. So
I agree.
yeah, but that's how long at least it took for me to get to where I am right now with that program.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, so I'm running it off my phone, like when I record stuff, and
Right.
it's a Google Pixel 3, and so it's not the iPhones or anything. So I don't know. Always been part of Google. I don't know why, but like
iPhone's
this one is
overrated,
like
man.
on the end. Do you have an iPhone or do you have an Android?
Unfortunately, I do have an iPhone, but that's why I can confirm that I'd rather not have any more Apple products at least. I was never an Apple boy. I
That's
just
what I'm
got it as a
saying. When
gift.
I was younger, when I was younger, so my I always like to live my life like I always like to be different. You know what I mean? Like I don't like to go with the trends and whatnot. I like to do my own thing. Be myself type of thing. And so
Yeah.
everyone was getting iPhones when I was younger. Switching to iPhones and smartphones, and I was like, no, I want to do Androids. And then Google came into my life, and now I like Google phones.
Yeah, man. I think my next phone would probably be Google or at least an Android device. Like I grew up with Android. This is like my only Apple phone
so
because it
so
looked
you do
slick when
agree
it
that
came out.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but you do agree iPhones are overrated.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I like that you said that because all my friends, bust me every time. Like they're like, "What is this green message?" And they're always busting me like, get an iPhone. And then I'm like, "Oh, come on, guys."
Nah, man.
But
Team
um,
Android.
all right, I appreciate you even more now. So with so with 3D animations, and you kind of explained it already. How you kind of went about doing the green screen effects, especially with the camera, I believe was the example in the video.
Right.
You use a fishing line and then cut that out and then made that pop up. So I want to try to do that for one of my
Yeah, do it.
when I'm putting a post. I got to learn how to do this stuff, but I don't have a green screen right now, so I might have to figure out how to do it. But
You don't need a green
is there
screen.
any
Yeah, in
you
that
know?
tutorial, there's a way afterwards where you can do it just in After Effects.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna follow that tutorial because I want to start like doing that 3D posting. I think that's just such a cool thing.
Yeah, man. Do it. I'm excited to see
I'm
it.
gonna I will send it to you. And then and then we'll have that. You're gonna rate it from a 1 out of 10.
All right, man.
But so
Okay.
yeah, this is what I want to ask you. And I really forget the name of him. I try to look him up to see if I can send a link before we started this episode. His name, I want to say it was Freddie or something, but when I first like really started like watching YouTube and like videos, it was this guy. He I thought his name was Freddie or something, Freddie Wong maybe or something like that. But
Oh
he
yeah, I know who you're talking about, I think.
yeah, because he always was like making those little skits and like with like punching like random creations he put up and whatnot. Did you ever see that guy then?
Oh yeah, I grew up with that like era of when he was like really big and doing a
Yes.
lot of those kind of VFX videos. Like always really creative, always really fun to watch.
Yeah, because that's when I kind of sparked my idea. I was like, oh, this stuff is like really cool, but I never knew how to do it. Did you? I was wondering if he kind of sparked your interest as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think that like even though he hasn't been active on YouTube anymore, like that kind of stuff definitely affects me and what I know is actually capable of doing, right? And there's a lot of
Yeah,
like YouTubers that are really creative that have influenced me as well.
yeah, I don't know why when I was writing the questions for this episode, I was always thinking I wonder if he knows that guy. Like that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
'Cause
chances are I do. I mean, I don't know him
so
personally, but I know of him.
right, yeah, yeah, another guy. So what current events are you in or are your projects into right now? Like, is there a certain like besides like the magic thing, is there any like side pieces that you're currently working on?
Um, if anything, for work-wise, there's some stuff that are happening that I can't talk too much about. One of them is like a web commercial where the ball is rolling a little bit slow. I had an opportunity to work on a music video that I also can't do because it has to happen in Asia and I can't travel.
Ah,
So
yeah.
there's that. But in terms of side projects, I am currently working on like a 10K like celebration giveaway video where
Oh, okay.
yeah, I posted before that I said, if I ever hit 10K, I'll just give something for free. So I reached that point, and then now I'm making this video where I do a bit of a giveaway contest. So
Oh,
yeah, that's
okay.
happening on the side.
That's really cool. So, I wanted to ask you about one of your other posts that I thought was really cool. And it was on there. Actually, there's two. So one was on that Josh episode. It was a quick little thing where you made like I guess you were playing on your phone or a controller, and like there was a little pop up screen, and you were like switching the menus. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Is how did you like even like? Is there an easy way to explain that creation at all?
Um, I'll try to simply explain it. It's not too hard to explain, but it might just be confusing for like lay people who like don't touch into the software that much. Basically,
Hmm.
all I did was track like a how would I say it, like a pre-comp. Like it's like so I basically first made like the screen through just motion graphics, like very simple tools in After Effects and assets that I already had. So just like shape layers in After Effects and also some glitch types of effects, like those type of plugins, like from Red Giant, for example. And once I made that screen, all I did was just track it to the controller, where you track the motion of the object, so it
Yeah.
follows it around, and that's pretty much it.
That's so cool. And then the other one was the cards. It was kind of like one card came out of the other, and it was like kind of floating a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's
Is
like
there?
yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was gonna say, is there like a way to like kind of explain that one too? Because I was really into that one too.
Yeah, there's actually a tutorial on that. It was one of the five from the Creative Week with me through Josh
Oh, okay.
Olufemii's YouTube channel. So that's a place to check it out if you ever want to learn to do it. But it's not too hard. Basically, you're just freeze framing a moment and then cutting out the object that you want to kind of like clone, and then you just make a bunch of them and layer them just like how I did. But yeah, I mean, if you ever want to learn it, there's a tutorial on it on Josh's channel.
Yeah, I'm gonna link that link to that to that episode, and then I'm also obviously gonna link your stuff after we're done talking here. But
Sweet.
so what is I know you kind of mentioned like you want to do music videos and like kind of like branch off and like learn other stuff, but is there a big goal in your life that you really want to accomplish, like something that you like have your eyes set on?
Right. If anything, there's not a definitive goal that I want to like strive towards, but I do have a much better direction now than I did before in terms of defining what I want to do. And it would probably be sticking to creative editing, also creative directing on like promo pieces, like stuff either for like Instagram or commercials or doing music videos, anything that still has to do with the realm of filmmaking, creativity, and short form content. So for example, I don't want to be like the next like Steven Spielberg. I don't want to do like short films and stuff like that. Like narrative pieces are like works of art that I think I shouldn't touch. It's just not where my strengths or interests lie. I'm more of a short form content guy. So I think I'm going to like basically, yeah, keep at it in that direction. To put it in like a more like clear terms, I would say that like I want to direct and edit like a Nike commercial, for example, something along those
Oh,
lines
okay.
in that scale. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be really neat. So, maybe you can answer this question because I always thought about it, but like, we are, I mean, you know way more than I do in After Effects. I'm like a newbie in it, but like, I would love to know how the people who even created that stuff, like even like came up with that idea and like how they even like figured out like all these little things. Like I don't even know if you know the answer to that. Like that's just like so crazy to me how like they even thought of this concept and created this program.
Right. Are you talking about like the people who like create the tools that are being used, or are you
Just
talking about the
the app
creators of?
and yeah, the creators in general like literally thought about like how you're able to create something like they thought about that you could possibly morph that into doing something to me it's just insane how people even thought about that stuff.
Right. I think it's everyone has a different creative process. I think that I don't know. I think it's a mixture of knowing what kind of tools you have available and also knowing what kind of, I guess, I would say goal or vision that you want to strive towards. So like it may feel like from some people's point of view that like these creators who do really like creative stuff, really like groundbreaking visuals, like how do they even get to like that idea or how do they get to that point where they can make something like that, right? And I think all of it has to do with a lot of planning. Creativity is really a process. It's a mixture of a lot of things. And I think that once you kind of set your eyes on the general scope of what you want to do. So for example, the interactive video game post, like it all started with me just like wanting to do something a little bit different on Instagram. And interactive posts aren't a new thing. Like interactive posts had its trends back in the day on like YouTube. And I've seen
Yep.
some stuff on Instagram as well. But on Instagram, it's like there aren't really any interactive tools. Like you can't really, there's no hotspots or anything like that. But I've seen people like do animations where they're like, put your thumb over here and it'll look like the stick character is like, I don't know, like it's trying to fight it or something like that. Something like silly as that. I thought that I'd be able to incorporate stuff like that. And that kind of gave birth to the idea of, all right, let's make like an Instagram interactive video. And I'm going to try and include as many of the features that it can. For example, the carousel feature, right? So that it feels like when you're swiping from one post to the other, like in the same post, I guess, like one video to another, there's a continuation of like the animation where there's like this cyber like Oni like mask kind of thing that's like on the corner. And then when you swipe it, it looks like it kind of continues the flow of motion and it all kind of like ties together. So that's one way of just utilizing another feature that's available on Instagram. So it's just a lot of building the blocks into creating something that is working closer to the goal that you have in mind, if that makes any sense. Like it might sound
No,
really vague, but that's essentially kind of what it is.
yeah, no, it does it makes sense. I get it. I don't know if everyone will all get it just because not a lot of people are into like well, I mean not a lot of people get some of this stuff. I know it personally just because I had to work with it throughout school and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's just all that stuff just it intrigues me and like I can't wait to branch off of even having this conversation to do and like trying out new stuff. Like I mean you inspired me to do like these 3D effects now, so I really want to try it out.
I'm happy to
And
hear that, man.
yeah, and I really want to work and figure out these animation tools, motion graphics, and eventually I want to get that chomping mouth going. I want to try
Yeah,
that in
you'll
my
be able to do it,
logo.
man. I believe in you.
Well, I
But
appreciate it.
it's a whole world, man, that you kind of dive into. So I mean, just I think with anything that you learn, not just in video editing, there's
Mhm.
there's always like a learning curve in whatever skill that you're trying to develop. And yeah, you just got to find like an efficient way to get closer to your goal. And I think learning tools, or at least learning like, for example, like a certain effect that you want to do, like break your whole thing down into segments instead of trying to do it all at once. Like if you want like the chomping mouth to come out of the tree, for example, like how do you make the chomping mouth in the first place? And then just
Mhm.
take that one step at a time, and then eventually you'll get there, right?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And so that's what I did. I did actually look that up, chomping mouth, like how to make that effect at first. And
Right.
that's where I got overwhelmed. I was like, oh God, this is too much.
Yeah.
But,
I know what you
but
mean. I know what you mean.
then on top of that, do you know how to like so I made my little logo through just literally just using Snapchat. Like I was like I was, cutting it out, pasting it and making it together. And then my friend ended up creating that fit my intro, my as my effect. But is there a way I never understood the ways to, create something through the computer, almost like make it animated? Do you know how to do any of that?
I have to check out your intro again, but
Hmm.
in terms of animating stuff, like usually it's happening in After Effects for motion graphics and stuff. So if anything, like usually people will create like the graphic itself in a program like Photoshop or Illustrator, and then be able to animate certain parts of it in After Effects, like being able to move the mask around or moving the shape layers around so it feels like it's, for example, like a chopping mouth or something like that.
Hmm. Okay, yeah. I mean, I definitely, yeah. That's gonna be the next step, and making this podcast like way more official, making it look really cool. But
Yeah, man.
um, so what is I mean, for people listening to this, I'm hoping like I do with all my podcasts, I try to explain it to you like when I try to get people professionals in their field and kind of explain how they worked on something and like how they got to where they want to go, maybe hoping inspiring others like you inspired me to do stuff with my more stuff with my podcast. But is there any advice that you can give to anyone listening to this about like how to kind of follow what you've been doing if they're into that?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what they actually want to get into because if anything, like I know a little bit of everything, but I wouldn't say I'm like a master at like one specific field. So
Mhm.
even though I'm like known really well for like, or recently I've been known more with like my VFX related posts, like I'm by no means a VFX artist. I wouldn't ever like advertise myself as that. But if people do want to get into creative editing or VFX and stuff like that, I think that you don't have to go to school for it. I think that's the common misconception that people think that they need to go into like an animation school or they need to go to film school or something like that to get into stuff like this. But if you're not getting into narrative films and stuff like that, you don't need
Mhm.
to go to film school. If you're trying to be a VFX artist or like learn how to do cool stuff like content create, then honestly, YouTube University, man. Like just go onto YouTube and just search up tutorials on whatever you want to do, and eventually you're going to develop a tool belt with a lot of skills in your pocket that you can pull out anytime and just basically connect new ideas to these tools or techniques that you've developed. And eventually,
Mhm.
like you expand a wider range of what you can do, and then link those things to whatever project that you have or whatever vision that you have, and eventually you will just see progress in whatever you create.
Yeah, and that's really cool you said that because I mean, obviously, you're always told to go to school, and like we both did that, and graduate and all. And it's really cool, like you go to school for sure. But starting to learn, like like right after I graduated, I was like, the world is literally in the palm of my hands. Like I can make what I want to do out of it. You know what I mean? Like if I want to content create, then you go do that, and like you could be super successful with it. But I mean, it's all about the process of learning and going through these steps, and like so it was really cool you said. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, school is important, but at the same time,
Hmm.
it's not everything when it comes to, especially in a creative field, at least. Like, there's
Right? No.
a lot of people who are like the top of their industry don't even go to school for what they do. Like these, like I worked on like a concert segment on the visual side of things, and these 3D artists, like none of them went to school for 3D. They just learned on YouTube tutorials, and they're working on like the highest budget, like concert level stuff. So yeah, you definitely don't need to get a degree for stuff like that. I think a lot, like in terms of at least the creative field, it's a lot of word of mouth and just networking and building good relations and then proving that you're capable of doing stuff and also having good work ethics. Like if you're a really talented VFX artist, but you're hard to work with, people don't really want to work with you. So you got
Right.
to just be, I don't know, a decent person with decent skills and know a lot of people.
Yeah, that's very true. Networking is one thing I actually did get taught very well through school. Like always do network. Always be respectful to anybody you talk to because you never know who you're gonna talk to and help you out one
Yeah,
day.
for sure.
Yeah. So is there we kind of stuck around an hour or so. So is there anything that you want to add to this episode that you can think of that I may have missed?
Didn't even realize it was an hour already.
Yeah, it's around, I would say maybe 45, 50, 55 minutes, somewhere around there.
It's awesome. Any like last thoughts to leave with? Nothing really. I think everything I've really wanted to touch on, basically we've covered. Like if you ever want to get into a creative field, if you want to get into similar things that I do, then just start doing it. There's a lot of resources online where you can learn these kind of stuff if you are interested or you're inspired by the works of others. Like everything's on YouTube. If anything, it's just kind of hard to find efficient tutorials or like basically like hone into a specific thing that you want to do. Like for example, probably no one's making a tutorial on how to get a chomping mouth to come out of a tree, right? You got to learn like a mixture of techniques to be able to achieve that. But all of it's on YouTube, like all of it's free. If anything, I think that the most important thing is just start doing it and start failing right away. Like don't be discouraged if you think your work sucks. A lot of people feel discouraged because maybe it gets negative feedback, or you put it out there and it doesn't do as well as you hope that it performed, or you even look at it and you're not like that proud of it. But every failure that you take and every like crappy design or video that you make is a stepping stone in becoming better, right? You learn something each time and you know what didn't work the last time so that you can grow from it. And I think that's the important thing. Just start doing and do a lot.
I mean, that's great advice. So, I mean, that's awesome. So before we end this or anything, is this your first podcast? I forgot to ask that in the beginning.
Yeah, this is my first podcast, actually.
Yeah.
Someone did invite me to do a podcast before, but it had to do with magic. And I thought I wasn't necessarily like as suitable for it, but maybe I will eventually do that. But this is my first one.
All right. Well, I'm glad you got interviewed because it was funny. I met someone from Michigan University. It was one of my episodes I did before. I did a podcast with her, and then she did a podcast with me, and I felt it was so weird being on the other side, like people asking me questions and talking and trying to explain stuff because to me that stuff is just so hard to do. But I love it at the same time. But like, so was it weird at all, like me asking you questions and getting into it?
No, I mean, really, it just feels like we're having a conversation, trying to kind of get to know each other. I mean, it's mostly about me in this episode, but like, it's great being able to, build relationships and get to know another person.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's why I'm glad I could say I made a new friend now. And so, I would definitely like to stay close. And like I said, maybe meet in person one day, collab. That'd be really cool.
In Japan, man.
In Japan. We'll do it in Japan. Get some sushi too. We got to get that.
Yes.
So where can people follow you? It's in your little @ here, but is it everywhere at Coffeelicker?
Yeah, just at Coffeelicker. If anything, I'm the most active on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel, but I don't really post anything there. But you'll find most of my stuff or be able to connect with me on Instagram at Coffeelicker. Yeah.
Perfect. So here's my outro. This has been Out on a Limb. We just went out on a limb. Why don't you grab this branch, continue to do something different, or just be yourself. Peace. Oh wait, this is so new to me. Okay, there we go.
You're doing it on your phone?